Broadcasting live on the OpsLens app, iHeartRadio, MoJo 50 Radio, and online worldwide at thepcradioshow.com.
And I just want to take the opportunity to remind you, as Richard and I get ready to go to work here and earn a paycheck so that we may provide for all of the welfare recipients that are out busy burning down cities and burning down towns. Just want to take the opportunity to remind all of you that Donald Trump is still your president. Good afternoon, Radio World, MoJo 50 Radio listeners, iHeartRadio listeners, OpsLens app viewers. This is the Patriotically Correct Radio Show. Packed show ahead of us in the second half. We have Dominick Izzo. He's a former cop and is the host of the Rants of Izzo on MoJo 50 Radio and iHeartRadio. You never know what's going to happen on the Rants of Izzo. He's definitely a character, and we don't have any idea what's about to happen here on Patriotically Correct Radio. Good afternoon, Richard. How are you?
Not too bad, my friend. Not too bad.
I see that you've buttoned up again today, and I like the trend that we're seeing here. I went a little bright on the tie here today. For those of you that can view us on the OpsLens app, I don't know what I would call this. If it would be an orange or a salmon or a chartreuse. What is this? What are you seeing there?
I like salmon.
Salmon.
Yes.
By the way, your son cooked up a good salmon, and is that a green food, by the way, for Karen?
No, I think it was yellow because of the brown sugar.
Oh, yes. Okay, we can't have any of that. I want to talk a little bit about the Trump derangement syndrome. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because, in my personal Facebook feed, I'm friends with a lot of people on there, and I do accept friend requests from people that I don't know if we have mutual friends or, if they're fans of the show or something like that. I don't have anything to hide, really. I mean, my kids are my kids. My family life is my family life. I don't expose really everything on there, but I'm pretty open and pretty vulnerable on social media. I say what I mean what I say, and that's just who I am. It's what you're going to get, the same thing that you get here on PC Radio. And but part of this is I've got particular friends and even family members who I believe suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. They hate this man so much that they're willing to vote for a person that has 47 years in politics, 8 years under Barack Obama, the first black elected president in the United States that not only did we elect once, but twice. They're still on this racism thing. They're still on this oppression thing. They're American apologists, if you will. And they hate Trump so much that they're willing to vote for a guy who can't even get it together when he's reading off of a teleprompter.
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it.
Think about it. The guy, he has absolutely no idea what's going on. He has no idea what city he's in or where he's at. He supports the nationwide mask mandates if he's elected president, no matter where you are, in your home, in your car, around your family, around your friends, at a barbecue, no matter where you are, you're going to be forced to wear a mask nationwide. And what we know about the coronavirus does not support a mask mandate at all in any state, in any city, but especially not nationwide. Last night or over the weekend, I don't remember when it was, very recently, Biden was doing like this video town hall from his basement. The basement dwelling pervert was on television. I think it was MSDNC doing this town hall type thing, and he was supposed to be answering live questions, but he got busted. He's reading off of a teleprompter to answer live questions. He can't even field a question from somebody. Watch this.
I would like to know, what will your administration do to help them give them that chance? Thank you.
Move it up here.
What?
There used to be a basic bargain in this country. Workers shared in the wealth their work helped create.
Okay. I have no idea what that means, but he's like, move it up here. He's looking at the teleprompter, and I mean, the guy, he probably doesn't even know what the question is. He didn't even probably see that young lady on his screen asking the question. It was pre-scripted questions. He was recently busted too because there was a female who exposed the fact that she was handed a scripted question to ask this guy. Richard, how can people vote for this person?
I don't know, and I really wonder what what their reasoning is for all of this. What, just because you hate a man, you're going to throw everything that our country has worked for away?
Well, they say that
because somebody told you to.
They call him names, okay? And I think last night when we were talking on the phone, you had a list of names. I don't know if you still have that, the nicknames for Donald Trump that they've called him, but they call him a misogynist or a sexist. Okay, I think this some of this stuff stems from the Stormy Daniels rumors or allegations, by the way, that were completely unproven at this point, that he had an affair and that he slept with Stormy Daniels. Well, let me just say this: if that's the case, how does this affect whether or not he's able to run a country, Richard? He slept with somebody, allegedly slept with somebody who gets paid to spread her legs. Okay, she's a damn porn star. And furthermore, she's an adult. Meanwhile, on the other side with Joe Biden, this guy is flying in and out of Epstein Island on the Lolita Express. Great name for an aircraft, by the way. The Lolita Express, which is crashing and burning. Epstein did not kill himself. They got to him. This is what the deep state does. Don't tell me for 1 second that anybody who was friends with Jeffrey Epstein that flew in and out of Epstein Island on the Lolita Express was unaware of what was actually going on that island. If you were friends with him, he's not keeping hundreds of little girls just locked up in a basement without anybody knowing. So whether or not Donald Trump slept with Stormy Daniels becomes a whole lot less peculiar when you compare it to something like what Biden was involved with, and he is documented, as well as Bill Clinton documented being on those flight logs.
Well, and the maintenance guy on this little island was the one that said he saw Bill Clinton in the pool with this girl who was topless and probably couldn't be more than 15 years old.
And to be fair, I mean, Bill Clinton is not on the ticket. It's a Biden-Harris ticket, but these are peas in a pod. Okay, I mean, these people run together, and so you've got the basement Biden pervert flying in and out of Epstein Island, 47 years in politics, but we want to talk about what a misogynist and a sexist Trump is for allegedly sleeping with somebody who was paid to be a porn star. And furthermore, if you want to say that he's a sexist or a misogynist because he said grab a girl by the hoo-ha, or what you know what the actual thing was, or women, you got to treat them terribly. This was a multi-billionaire, from New York, a real estate mogul who employed thousands and thousands of people and built an undisputedly successful business. And these were all the people, by the way, Richard, that were his best friends.
And furthermore, since the 80s, since the early 1980s, and I don't know the exact year and the exact day and month and all that other garbage, Donald Trump has been asked about running for president. And when talking about it, has always said, well, if I run for president, they're not going to like me because I make too much sense, or I'm not a career politician. I don't play that game, but I really love this country. So if I would do a whole lot things differently.
The Trump derangement syndrome is about this sexism or the misogynism, or let's just talk about the racism, because that's what everybody wants to talk about now. So if anybody can, and by the way, we're on Twitter at Correct Radio. You can use the hashtag Trump racism or whatever you want to use. If you tweet us, I'm going to see it. Richard is going to see it. If you can give me an example of something that Trump has said or done that proves that he's a racist, by all means, please go ahead. Because I believe that it's documented that Trump employed several people, thousands, hundreds of minority people. Also women. He gave women administrative leadership positions within the Trump organization.
Yeah. That girl that won his show, whatever her name was, she ran a multi-million-dollar business for him for many years.
He trusts women with multi-million dollars. This to me is not a sexist. All right. Now let's talk about the racism thing. That you can't prove it. Okay. There's nothing this is just a code word for I can't win. Okay, so when you're completely defeated and you're losing an argument and you have nothing to substantiate your position, it's just like you're spinning around like an emotionally disturbed person in a manic state, just trying to figure out anything that you can possibly say to discredit somebody just because you hate him as a person. But let me be clear. This vote is not about Donald Trump, the person. This vote is not about the future of our country. Has nothing to do with whether or not Donald Trump slept with Stormy Daniels, or even whether or not he said to grab a girl by the hoo-ha, or women, you have to treat them terribly. It doesn't. This election is not about Trump at 3:00 in the morning with his calculated, by the way, tweets that he is sending out to the masses, because he has to communicate with the American public this way, Richard. The media won't cover him. The media won't give him a fair shake. And that brings me to my point of, I actually jotted it down before we came on here. I was thinking to myself, why would it be that the governor in Kenosha in Wisconsin, why would it be that the communist Tony Evers would not want Trump coming to Wisconsin? Why would it be that the mayor of Kenosha would not want Trump coming to Wisconsin? I'll tell you why. And it's because in these blue cities and in these blue states, they don't want him there, because then the media would be forced to cover what's actually going on in their state, what's actually going on in their city. The looting, the burning, the robbing, the stealing, the raping, the pillaging, the assaults on police. They would be forced to actually cover what's going on there, and to them, they don't want that.
Well, look at Portland. He sent the feds into Portland. The federal government deputized all the local police, and they're cleaning that place up. In fact, last night I was laughing my ass off. There was a Facebook post from whatever county Portland is in of 75 Antifa / rioters who were arrested. And they labeled them all mutants.
Yeah, I saw that. Did you see the 72 pictures that they had posted on Facebook?
Not one normal-looking person.
We will put that on our Facebook page. We'll go ahead and share that, Richard, because I was actually thinking about individually downloading each one of those 72 pictures and showing them here. We could probably just take the day off and put those 72 pictures on here. It would be equally, if not more, entertaining as the two of us sitting here and opining. But what the election coming up is about, if not about Trump being a racist or a misogynist or a sexist, what this vote is really about is defeating fascism. When you see things like this going on in New York City.
Oh, disgusting.
Burn the precinct to the ground, every city, every town, and they're carrying a banner that says "Death to America." This is the Antifa people. I've articulated very eloquently that Antifa is basically ISIS for pussies, and that is exactly what you're seeing here. This is a Biden America, Richard. These are the things that Kamala Harris, the pseudo aristocrat, the apex predator from California, who's patiently circling, awaiting deep in the waters for the Biden Lolita Express to crash and burn. And while he is tangled in the ripcords of the parachutes at the surface of the water, I've said it before, she is circling like a great white shark, and the jaws of the apex predator from California are waiting to strike. We all know that Biden is not going to finish at least probably even his first term in office. My bet on this show, and we've bet a 6-pack of beers, is that it will be within 3 months, within 90 days, if the tragic situation occurs where Biden is elected president. She knows what she's doing. She's aligned herself in Washington. She knows who her friends are. And Biden and Harris support these people. We aired a segment of her the other day when she was on with Stephen Colbert, that lunatic asshole. And she was saying the riots aren't going to stop. They're not going to let up. They won't. And they shouldn't. She's encouraging this division. She's encouraging this hate. She's encouraging assaulting police officers. She's encouraging criminal activity, rioting, burning, looting, stealing. She's encouraging the burning of small businesses. And I said it on Twitter yesterday, and I will say it again here live on PC Radio. For every business that's burned, a new Trump supporter is born.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you 100%. I wonder if we could do a social experiment, like if we had the PC radio mob or the PC radio, whatever you want to call it,
like the
go out and ask these people, what are you so upset about? What are you so angry about? And the answer is gonna be, well, the cops are racist.
Yeah.
The answers are gonna be Trump is a racist. But I'd be more interested to unhear why. Why do you think that? Where did you find that information? Who told you that?
I'll tell you the way that we can do it through the OpsLens app. So citizen journalists can download the OpsLens app, which is the really only true way to effectively get yourself onto the PC radio show with your journalism, because the media is not going to show you what it is that's going on out here. We rely on these citizens journalists. We saw one from Alpha News, who basically is a citizen journalist or an independent journalist that was on the train platform here in Minneapolis, just across the street from the Hennepin County Jail, who was confronted by these ISIS Antifa pussies and she was threatened with her life. She was threatened with a street cone, a traffic cone. The vote in on November 3rd is not about whether or not Trump is a misogynist or a sexist. Let's talk about it. How about crime? Allowing states to legalize marijuana if they so choose. Legalizing drugs to take profit away from drug cartels. Defending the Second Amendment of our Constitution. Nominating United States Supreme Court justices that will abide by the rule of law, by the Constitution, expanding and bringing back programs like Project Exile and get gangbangers and drug dealers off of the street, empowering law-abiding gun owners to defend themselves rather than being locked up and jailed like Kyle Rittenhouse down in Illinois or in Kenosha in Wisconsin. He lived 10 miles away, in Illinois. In education, immediately adding an additional federal investment of $20 billion towards school choice, giving states the option to allow the funds for public or private schools that they attend, establishing the national goal of providing school choice to every one of the 11 million school-age children living in poverty, working with Congress on reforms to ensure universities are making good faith efforts to reduce the cost of college and student debt. The guy put $78 billion. He and Rand Paul were the authors and the ones that worked incredibly hard on putting $78 billion into communities that suffer from poverty, mostly occupied by minority black people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't.
And
go ahead.
The argument's going to be, well, these are all great things that he talked about, and maybe he did implement a few things. But what has he really done? Well, who gives a shit? What has Joe Biden done in 47 years?
47 years. You actually looked at this last night, and the numbers that you had were pretty staggering. I mean, in 47 years, he's authored relatively no legislation. He's introduced legislation. And when you introduce legislation, Richard, you worked in a congressman's office. So go through that. What's the difference between authoring legislation and introducing legislation?
Well, geez, I'm not 100% sure on the process, but authoring it means you or usually your staffers got together and wrote it. Introducing it is somebody else wrote it, and you got the one to put your balls on the table and introduce it to the House and probably get it swept off the table and onto the floor. I think he didn't have many. I think there was 358-ish that he authored or introduced in his career.
The thing that we were talking about is what he's actually accomplished, and we're talking Trump here versus Biden. And the numbers are staggering. And what you said is what I suspected. And I suspect, and anybody that wants to get at us at Correct Radio and really give us the difference between authoring and introducing, that's fine. But it's my thought that what you said is accurate, that if you author the bill, you write it. You're the author, you're the writer of the bill. If you're introducing it, like a member of the squad, for example, that terrorist Ilhan Omar, or the racist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or the delusional Rashida Tlaib, these people, if they all work together to author it, and then some other senior representative of Congress introduces the legislation, then they're just the introducer of it, correct? They're the stage show, if you will. But making energy independent America, creating millions of new jobs, protecting clean air and water, rewriting the tax code to allow working parents to deduct from their income taxes childcare expenses for up to 4 children and elderly dependents, getting rid of the shitty Obamacare program that is bankrupting small businesses all over the country and is damaging, it's paralyzing individuals who want to run a business or who work for independent contractors or even W-2 wage earners. The Bronze program for a single father, who's divorced and has 3 kids, whose ex-wife doesn't have a W-2 wage earning job, is paying somewhere near $1,300 a month. This is a single father who's supposed to pay child support, who's supposed to provide medical insurance, and will be fined or possibly jailed under the Obamacare Affordable Care Act if he doesn't pay these premiums. It's paralyzing America, and Trump is single-handedly tearing that thing down. He's draining the swamp like he said he was going to. He's incentivizing employers to provide child care at the workplace, providing 6 weeks of paid leave to new mothers before returning to work. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about what it is that we are actually voting for come November. Not a guy on Twitter, not a misogynist sexist who is rumored to be a racist and who has rumored to have slept with a porn star, but somebody who's actually getting things done. And that is the big threat to these people who are establishment government politicians who have been there forever, Richard, because they are threatened by his very existence.
And Donald Trump is the only example that we really have of somebody who's not a career politician getting into politics and do elected office. I mean, we had Arnold in California was the governor, and we had Jesse Ventura here. But I don't know. I think that he is the first one, like we've talked about before, who's not a career politician, and who has said for many, many years that when and if he elects or runs and is elected into the presidency, that they're not going to like him. And boy, was he right. He called that in the early 80s. But there's one thing he's always stand firm on, and that's his love for this country. And I think you'll be very hard pressed to find anybody that can dispute that.
George Bush, I miss him because of his love for the country. And, Bush could have been probably 43, could have been one of the most fiscally irresponsible presidents in the history of our nation, especially right up at the end of his term, spending frivolously and, unnecessary wars and weapons of mass destruction, and the list goes on and on. But one thing that I knew is that when I laid my head down at night, I knew that any threat that was brought to America would be met with superior force and violence. And the same thing is true with Trump. He's building a wall along the Mexican border. He's passing laws in accordance with our constitutional system of government that must be enforced. Any immigration plan must improve jobs, wages, and security for all Americans, triple the number of ICE officers, implement a nationwide E-Verify, deport all illegal immigrants, detain illegal immigrants until they're deported, cut off federal grants to any city which acts as a sanctuary city. The list goes on and on. I saw somebody talking about, well, what has he really done? He's built 3 miles of wall. Try 300, asshole. And, people will just, like I said, they're in a manic state of making things up and just saying, oh, he's a racist, or, oh, he hasn't done anything, or, oh, he slept with Stormy Daniels, or, oh, nobody really wants him in their city. Look, they don't want him in their city. And I articulated exactly why it is that they don't want him in their city. I told you I'm not a Trump. Listen, I'm a Trump fan. I have no problems admitting that, and I will be voting for Donald Trump. But I'm not voting for Donald Trump because I think Donald Trump as a person is just incredibly morally awesome, or because I agree with everything that he says. I am not a flag bearer or a torch carrier for everything Donald Trump, but most of the stuff I am. And you cannot deny facts, and facts don't care about feelings. If you want to Biden America, how about we take one more look at what's going on in New York City as they're carrying banners that say death to America and chanting burn the precinct to the ground, every city, every town. That is what you're going to get if you elect Joe Biden. If Joe Biden is elected, this is the new normal, and I hate that term, but this is the new normal in the United States of America.
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the leader of the free world. This is the guy who we want to elect just because we hate a person. And we hate this person, by the way, with no credible, substantive argument. I wish we had another 6 hours to talk about the accomplishments of Donald Trump, because it would take that long to even scratch the surface. Coming up in the second half of PC Radio, we're going to be joined by Dominick Izzo. Izzo is a former cop and is now the host of the Rants of Izzo on MoJo 50 Radio and iHeartRadio. This portion of Patriotically Correct Radio brought to you by Johnson Jewelers. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back in less than 2 minutes. Everywhere that you can find this program. More PC Radio straight ahead.
We will force votes.
We will not stop.
Any Republican senator is part of the cover-up.
What the f***?
Impeachment. Impeachment.
This is madness.
The PC Radio Show with Stu and Rich. Back in a minute.
Hey, it's Stu Peters for Johnson Jewelers, a great sponsor on Patriotically Correct Radio. Johnson Jewelers, located in Woodbury, Minnesota. If you happen to live in Minnesota and you want to get over there and see them, by all means, go for it. Because you'll be so impressed with the amount of things that you find in their case. And most of it, 90% of it, I'll venture to guess, is custom made. Now, if you don't live in Woodbury, Minnesota, or Minnesota Greater, don't worry, don't fret, don't be sad, because you can always log online to johnsonjewelers.com. If you have that special piece that you want customized for you, whether it's a pendant or an old necklace, maybe it's a ring that got banged up, maybe you want to buy gold or sell gold or diamonds, they buy it. You can give them a call, 651-735-4400, or visit them online, exchange a few emails, make a few phone calls, and have that custom piece of jewelry made for you. JohnsonJewelers.com, an official sponsor of the Patriotically Correct Radio Show, and we love having them.
Broadcasting live on the Ops Lens app, iHeartRadio, MoJo 50 Radio, and online worldwide at thepcradioshow.com.
That's a nice middle section you have there.
Yeah, I'm standing up because I have to poop really bad.
Oh my God.
So you're going to have poop stains?
I might. I just might.
It looks like you're expecting. It actually comes to a point.
He's doing cartwheels in there.
Stewie and Richie. PC Radio. Patriotically correct. Politically biased. Emotionally disturbed. On behalf of all of us at MoJo, we apologize. Stewart's and Richard. PC Radio.
Back for the second half of this low-budget afternoon radio broadcast that can be found on MoJo 50 Radio, iHeartRadio. We are also, if you want to see us, you can go to that OpsLens app. Make sure that you download that thing so that you can interact with us in places other than Twitter at Correct Radio. And this portion of PC Radio brought to you by American Pride Roasters Coffee. Now, Richard, you and I were talking the other day about Brad's Brown Bag Blend. There's a lot of B's there. I feel like, what was his name? How Now Brown Cow. Brad's Brown Bag Blend. We're running out of time on this promotion, by the way, so that you better get over there. It can be found through the MoJo 50 Facebook page. You can go to the website, and there's a huge promotion going on. If you are a coffee drinker, I'm telling you right now, you got to try American Pride Roasters Coffee. It's the only thing that I fill my cup with. Right now, I'm drinking Ron's Sexual Chocolate for obvious reasons. I mean, it's the only cup of coffee that's guaranteed to make you swallow. And Dominick Izzo, by the way, who's on the phone with us, has his own blend. Dominick, welcome to PC Radio.
Good day, gents. How the heck are you guys?
Not too bad. Dominick Izzo, former cop and also the host of the Rants of Izzo, much more famous than we will ever attempt to even try to accomplish that kind of fame. He can be heard MoJo 50 Radio and on iHeartRadio. Dominick, I sent you a video, and you're on the phone, so you can't see it, but I want to show this to everybody who's viewing us on social media. We're going to take a look at this is a police officer who is attempting to detain a suspect here, and he's got him here, and he's trying to put him in a hold. He's trying to gain control over this guy, and this guy gets the upper hand at one point, and now he's on top of the officer, and he's punching him in the face repeatedly. Now here comes a group of people, and they're going to actually defend this cop. I don't need to mention, but I feel it necessary to mention for those of you who are not viewing it, but you're listening on MoJo 50 Radio, these are all black guys. They're all black guys that are defending this police officer, and they're jumping in here to help him out. Dominick, is this something that we're going to start seeing more in America? I mean, we finally have something positive to report on PC Radio. What do you think about seeing this kind of stuff happening in America now?
I'm kind of torn by it, to be honest, because, this is nothing new that has happened, but you're not going to see it as much because it doesn't fit the media narrative. But honestly, it's like I have to wonder the intent involved. And I'm completely spreading conjecture out there because I don't know if is it their own community that's starting to finally clean up themselves, or is it their own community who's like, dude, get off this cop because what's going to happen. You're going to have a sea of blue here in 5 minutes, and they're going to start shooting all of us because of guilt by association.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the aspect of it is, but you know what? It's like that whole saying: an ounce of prevention is more than a pound of cure. I think that's how it is. Well, a pound of cure. Well, why are these people? And I just said these people, so I must be racist.
You are.
So, why aren't these people in the community doing community prevention to begin with? Why are the fact that it got that far? I don't know. I'm beyond burnt out and exhausted of the BS narrative against cops on the media. So I started to look at things from every angle. Like, what's the point anymore? It's exhausting.
It's mentally draining to sit and listen to this crap every single day. I think that that could be true what you were saying, but if that were the case, Dominic, wouldn't they have just kind of pulled him away? I mean, they put the boots to this guy, and they beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, no offense, but and this is my words; these are not your words. We didn't discuss this before the show and I always have to make sure that I separate whoever I'm making a statement from to make sure that they're covered. But the urban, young, black community of America is the most violent community in America today. They look for any reason to put the boot to somebody. That's what they do. Their MO is 100% gang up on anyone. Could be a member of their own community, could be they'll gang up on white females, they gang up on kids, and their MO is to stomp on people when they're in a position on the ground. So that doesn't hold any water with me because that's their MO.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the incident that's close to home for us, which kind of sparked all of this, the George Floyd incident, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But before we do, you corrected me when we were on hold there during the commercial break prior to coming in on the Facebook and the social media, the Twitter goings on about Hillary Clinton. She was supposed to appear this morning in court at 9 o'clock, but what you told us, you're going to break news on the program and probably on our program for our viewers and listeners, but apparently you're saying that the courts nixed all of this like a week or two ago.
Yeah, this was back, article I found was back from August 14th, and of all places, CNN. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton cannot be compelled to appear for a deposition in a lawsuit about the State Department's emails. A federal appeals court ruled on Friday. So this was after that Judicial Watch had sought to question Clinton in the years-long pursuit of Clinton emails about the State Department's business on private server, but it was all overturned back on August 14th.
This is asinine. At what point is this woman going to have to answer for, at this point, I guess we could say alleged crimes because we don't want to be pointing fingers.
Pearly gates, baby. The pearly gates, when that's the only judgment that bitch is ever going to see.
Unbelievable.
No, you know what? It's not, because the frustration is going to boil over, and it's going to start with your local governors. And again, I don't know how this is getting to this point. Like, you're going to see so much like with General Flynn and how he just lost his appeal again for having his case dismissed. And I don't understand these blatant abuse of powers where it's like if you or I got a traffic ticket and we go to court and the prosecution and the cops say, we're dropping the ticket because we can clearly see we wrote him for 45 and a 35, but the body camera footage, the squad car footage, everything proves he was doing 35. We're dismissing a ticket. And the judge goes, no, we're going to continue with prosecuting. That's what's going on with Flynn. That's what's going on with Clinton. That's what's going on with everybody else who's in this upper echelon. It's going on with these governors who are seeing, you know, I'm getting off a little bit topic, but COVID-19, the numbers are not what we thought they were. Masks don't work. Let's continue to keep the states shut down. I don't know how every one of these governors are not being ripped out of their mansions, ripped out of office, pitchforks and torches, and I have no idea if every cop, every law enforcement agent in the nation just went, I think we're going to step aside and swear our oath to the Constitution and let the people do what they need to do. These people like Hillary Clinton, they're going to get eaten alive. And I really wish that would happen.
We just saw an entire command staff retire early and a police chief step down and walk away from everything that's going on. I mean, there's a mass exodus of law enforcement officers happening in Minneapolis. Now we're seeing it start to happen with command staffs. Richard and I have opined that we believe that it's going to take a fall boy, or it's going to take a sacrificial lamb as a police chief to tell a mayor like the worthless Jacob Fry here in the city of Minneapolis, no, and tell the, you know, it's, or maybe not even a chief, maybe an inspector at a particular precinct to say to the chief who's actually in the back pocket and riding the jock of the worthless mayor because he's a coward and he's weak, Medaria Arredondo, the chief of police in Minneapolis, who will literally bow on his hands and knees to criminal thugs that would execute him if given the opportunity. But it's going to take an inspector or somebody like that to say, nope, I'm not doing that. And we're going to start arresting people, and we're going to meet violence with superior superior violence, and we're going to use advanced firepower, and we're going to use live rounds. If there's a use of force situation, it is what it is, and we're going to start jailing these people. Whether or not prosecutors actually want to carry the charge, we don't know, and that is yet to be seen. But when then he is fired or he is replaced, then the next person that come in is going to have to do exactly the same thing. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing. But these guys, instead of standing up to it, they're just walking away. I think we're at the apex here of something a whole lot bigger. We're at that pinnacle, that tipping point of something actually happening, where government officials like Mayor Fry, or like the worthless Tony Evers in Wisconsin, or like Mayor Lori Lightfoot, the hypocritical bitch down in Illinois, who hates the police but then takes the police and puts them all on her block. These people like Nancy Pelosi, who are forcing people to wear masks and stay home and shut down their businesses, but she's sneaking around like a little criminal and getting busted and outed from surveillance footage, getting her hair blowed out. It's only going to be a matter of time before these people say, you know what, F it, I've had enough of this, and we're going to go physically remove these people from office.
Mm-hmm. That's it. What other option is there right now? What other option is there?
I don't see
one.
one.
I'll tell you what. If the people of Minnesota went to go and oust Governor Walz, that coward will turn tail and run and resign and everything else, just like he did when he got out of the military. Didn't want to deploy, didn't want to go overseas, so he decided to retire and just abandon his soldiers. So maybe in our situation here in Minnesota, that's what we need. Go get that asshole out of his mansion and with pitchforks and all that other stuff. Get him out of here.
I know everyone's talking about, well, you got to vote him out. You got to vote him out. Do you really want to wait another year or two for an election cycle to vote somebody out and the damage that could be done? It's like, my God, how much more of this garbage COVID lie are we going to wait and deal with, where people are losing, they're committing suicide, their businesses are being destroyed financially, they're losing their cars, losing their mortgages, losing their rents, and we're just going to keep going on this crap lie because a governor says so. And what blows me away is the amount of people, and I am one of them at times, who will do the war cry rally on social media, right? Ooh, you think by posting a meme, I've done my job being patriotic today. Somebody posted up, no mask on September 15th. Everybody takes their mask off. I thought somebody put up September 1st was the mask date. I have yet to wear one. I won't wear one. I said the only time I'll ever wear one is at the polls, because I will vote in person. And if they tell me I have to wear one, you bet your ass I will. But the point is what do we think just by putting a Facebook or an Instagram post up that we're being patriotic? It's nobody is willing to collectively stand up. The only ones are the insane left. And until conservatives start taking a play from their playbook and we start getting, unfortunately, violent back, nothing is going to change. We're going to go from, I was talking to Beth, our producer, MoJo 50, back in April. And, I said, for all those who said that we would never go from to capitalism to socialism, we went to socialism in a month. And she said, no. She goes, we went to Stalinism.
Right.
We went from who could work and who gets to work and who doesn't work in a month. That's how easy the American people were just run over.
You haven't worn a mask since the inception of this whole deal. It's amazing that you're still with us, as dangerous and as deadly as this thing is supposed to be. And by the way, between the two of you, we're going to have absolutely zero viewership today. We're going to be banned from everything, from your COVID, what are you, conspiracies? The thing is not deadly, so obviously we're going to be shadow banned and blocked, and we're going to violate all the community standards. And then Richard, you with your inciting this violent removal of the governor with a pitchfork and a torch. Boy, we're really digging ourselves a hole here today. In Minneapolis, Izzo, it's no secret that an officer has been jailed, Derek Chauvin, for allegedly kneeling on the neck and contributing to the death of George Floyd, an innocent black man. Who was violently assaulted by the police because he was black, and that's the only reason why. You originally, now before, when I first was coming on to MoJo 50 Radio, before I joined the network officially, I took the opportunity, obviously, for about a week to kick my feet up and listen. Boy, that was really something. I mean, it was a real eye-opener, and Izzo, I don't know if I'll ever be the same after sitting back and listening to you for a week, 2 hours a day. But during this, you, as a former cop, weighed in on this a little bit, and I got to tell you that I disagree with you. Okay, and that's fine, and we can disagree. But you kind of weighed in an armchair quarterback Derek Chauvin, saying that you can't get with this. So let me just ask you a question. That was prior to the additional body cam footage being leaked, and that was prior to the ME report coming out that said that that George Floyd was alive for over a half hour after he got to Hennepin County Medical Center, and also that there was a lethal amount of fentanyl in his system that caused or contributed to causing his death, fentanyl and meth. So has your opinion on Derek Chauvin or the incident changed in light of the new leaked footage and ME report?
No, absolutely not. I'm a certified use of force instructor in Illinois, FTO, field training officer. Well, I was, so I'm retired. Department use of force instructor, fiduciary on the pension board, and union president. I was on NIPUS Mobile Field Force, which is Northern Illinois Police Alarm Systems version of SWAT. I am a martial arts expert, been training for God knows how long. I can't get with what he was doing based on the whole concept of just because you can doesn't mean you should. The guy was in custody. He was in custody, and he had 2 other cops on him. He wasn't going anywhere. He wasn't a danger to anybody else. If you remove the tactic aside, now we can argue all day long that, based on where his knee was pushed on the neck, you're not going to cut off airway. We know that. He could talk for God knows how long. He may have, I don't know, may have slowed down a little bit of blood from the carotid artery going to his neck, but clearly he wasn't. Otherwise, he would have passed out within seconds. But the perception aspect, if you know damn well that you have somebody, or you have 4, 5, 6, 10 people video recording you, and you're still in that position, it is visually a horrific position to be in. You're going to sit there and maintain that position for 9 minutes. No, I can't. 100%, I can't get behind it because of there's nobody on this planet who didn't think that wasn't going to lead to something.
Are we really going to get ourselves and put our police officers in a position where their tactics are based on whether or not somebody is recording them or who might be watching them? I mean, they're wearing body cam footage. Well, and that's the point that I'm trying to make here. Yeah, they're going to have to because of the current environment that we're in politically. But is that an environment that is actually going to be safe for Americans?
What you have to do? You have to back up. You have to change the enforcement tactics. Why was he stopped in the first place? For a alleged $20 or counterfeit $20 bill?
It was a felony.
Why were police called? What's the point?
Police were called because the business owner was being being robbed. Basically, I mean, the business owner called and said this guy's trying to pass.
Do we have proof for that?
Well, I guess we'll never know because Floyd will never have a day.
Was to defraud.
He'll never have a day in court. We don't know.
Right.
We do know that there was a 911 call. We do know that Chauvin went there because he was dispatched there for a 911 call. Also, I will just say this. How do we know how much pressure was coming from the knee of Derek Chauvin onto the neckle region of George Floyd? How do we know that? How do we know that?
The same way I defended, who was it, Pantaleo, who allegedly crushed the windpipe of Eric Garner. I was on what's his name's side, Pantaleo's side.
Yeah.
There's no way that he wound up crushing his. It's semantics. It's like, did he crush it a little bit or did he crush it a lot?
Right.
So if you have a collective, the bottom line is Floyd had his handcuffs on, right?
Yeah.
And Floyd was down.
Floyd laid himself on the ground. He said he couldn't breathe right when he got out of the car.
Right.
He said he was going to die.
Was Floyd in custody? Floyd was in custody. We can agree on that.
Floyd was detained. Yes, we can agree on that.
There was no reason. Yeah, there was no. What the cops literally could have done is they all could have stood up and let him have incarceritis, laying on the ground, freaking out, saying, "I can't breathe."
Yeah,
you have 3 of them there. The tactics could have been different. I don't agree with the tactics because of what it led to.
Well, here's the deal also is that 2 of those cops that were there, it was literally their first day off of FTO. Okay.
Yeah,
so, and for those of you who don't understand what FTO is, that's a field training officer program that they go through and it varies from every department, how many weeks it is. Typically in Minneapolis, what it is you go to school, you get your degree, you go to skills training, you get post-certified, you go before a review board, you get eligible to be licensed as a police officer, you get hired, you go through an academy, and then after the academy, if you graduate that, you go through prior to all that, by the way, you go through backgrounding and all that kind of stuff. And then once you graduate the academy, if you do, then you go into, I believe in Minneapolis right now, it's 14 weeks divided into 3 phases. And you ride with different field training officers. So these guys were on their first day, 2 of them, off of this field training. They're not going to question a senior officer. I mean, you know that, Izzo.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
And so also in Chauvin's mind, as the senior officer on that scene, the only other guy that had more experience was Tu Tao, who was the Asian guy that you see standing around there.
His brother-in-law.
Yeah,
his brother-in-law.
Pushing, or not pushing back, but putting himself between the crowd that was gathering and the officer and the detainee. Okay, so Chauvin has been left alone to deal with George Floyd, who was physically combative, who got out of the car saying he couldn't breathe, that he was going to die. They didn't really know what was going on. He was a suspect in a felony currency violation. They had him detained. He would not go into the squad car. They had him in.
I'm gonna argue with you again on that one too.
Go ahead.
We got to do the reality of this. He goes and he tries to pay for something with a $20 bill that may have not been fake. It's a victimless crime at this point because the $20 bill wasn't passed. If it was that big of an issue, and I'm an armchair quarterback this whole thing, the clerk should have taken the bill, proven that it was, used a little pen, proven it was a fake, and at that point, it's a Secret Service crime at that point if it's a fake $20 bill. He was in handcuffs.
The reason
the fight is off when the handcuffs are on.
The reason the police were called, Dominic, becomes irrelevant at the point where he becomes physically resistant with the officer. You can be walking your dog off of a leash in the park, and if I come up to you and I say, "Sir, Mr. Izzo, I know you from the neighborhood over here, and you know damn well that there's an ordinance in this town against having your dog on a leash. So the next time, please, when I see you, have your dog on a leash." Okay, and you say, F you. Okay, well, now it went from have a nice day, sir, to I'm going to get out of the car. I'm going to ID you, okay? So now I come up and I ask you for your...
Why? That's freedom of speech.
Because you're...
He can say F you all he wants.
And I can ID you.
There's nothing against the law in that.
And I can identify you as a police officer.
For what?
And when I ask you to produce your identification, you become physically combative with me.
There's aspects of it where if I tell you, hey, do me a favor, put a dog on a leash, and you're going to base, and this is where cops get this wrong, and I can't tell you how wrong cops are on this. Again, just because you can doesn't mean you should. If you sit there and you say, hey, do me a favor, can you put your dog on a leash next time I see you? Well, F you. All right, well, if I'm going to base my decision to identify you based on your language with me, you lost. You lost. I should have said the first one, hey, do me a favor, sir, do you have your license on you? Why? You're committing a crime by not having your dog on a leash.
Yep, I got to document it.
Then you do it.
I got to document it.
On the attitude, if you base it on the attitude or the language of the citizen, which I've asked cops a ton of times. I pose a question. You can post it on your Facebook and watch how many cops say it. How many of you will base your citation on a traffic stop on the attitude of the driver? Watch how many of them say, I do. That is a clear violation of their First Amendment right. If you pull somebody over for speeding and you go up, do you have your driver's license on you? Oh, F you, officer. Well, now you're getting a ticket? Well, did you write the ticket because they sped or because they pissed you off? It's a POP ticket, pissing off the police. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to base your dealing with somebody based on your ego being fragile, then we need a massive overhaul in law enforcement. Massive overhaul. Floyd was in custody. He was pulling the whole, it's called incarceritis. I don't want to go to jail. Yeah. I can't breathe. And they all think they're going to get let out of handcuffs once the ambulance comes, taken to jail, but they're going to, or not taken to jail. So he was clearly in cuffs. He's on the ground. He was not a threat. All you have to do, like I said, get up and circle him. He let him flail around. Where's he going to run to with handcuffs on? Just because you could doesn't mean that you should have. So I disagree with the length of time that he had his knee on the neck, not because of what the tactic could or couldn't have done, but because you know damn well in today's day and age, you know it. And because the lawmakers left you out to hang, your command staff left you out to hang, everybody left you out to hang. Any cop who is stupid enough to sit there and not see, oh shit, here's a black guy, I have to deal with this a little bit differently because of politics. Any cop who doesn't have that in their mind is a moron. We had the Wendy's drive-through shooting. I watched that a million times. That guy got shot because the cop got pissed off. He got punched in the face. We broke that down a million times on my show. Guy falls asleep in the Wendy's parking lot, and he's completely compliant until the end when they go to put the handcuffs on. And there's a statistic that says about 73% of the fight happens after that first handcuff, the suspect hears click. And that's what happened.
Right.
Guy runs away, takes a taser, all this stuff. I had Mike Brown on, who's a retired police officer, and I had on the CEO of Law Officer Today. And Brown and I were on the same page. CEO of Officer, agrees with the shooting being good. Technically, there's a good shoot, but you can see cop got pissed off, pulled his gun. We need a massive to solve this problem. And I can guarantee you 100% of these problems will be solved if cops went back to policing according to the Constitution and not revenue generation. You start limiting the reason why police can stop people. You start evaluating what is a victim and victimless crime. George may have been a piece of shit scumbag, and I'm not negating that one at all.
He was.
But sometimes that's not my judge place. I'm a scumbag. People could look at my lifestyle and they say that guy's a piece of shit.
You're not a home invader. You're not a home invading, violent criminal piece of crap. You're not that.
Can Floyd, even though that he has a bad criminal history, could he have ever been a victim of a crime himself?
Yeah, I think he could, but I think one of the things we really need to break down.
He would have been entitled to police service, right? If Floyd was ever the victim of a crime, he still would have been entitled to police service.
Nobody's going to argue that. Richard, you were saying what? Break down what?
I think that when we talk about this overhaul and all these things about law enforcement, I think one thing that really needs to be maybe trained on in more depth is the police ability to use discretion. And so we're 100%. Talking about all these things 100%. That are happening, the POP ticket, as you said, sir, and all these other things. And I'm no expert on policing. I do know, however, though, that when you have 4 or 5 seconds to make a decision on whether or not to pull the trigger of your weapon, or even to draw your weapon for that matter, or how to handle a detainee, and take into account all the things that are going on around you. And I could see both sides of the argument. I think that one of the main problems in law enforcement today is that these young cops, they're not trained well enough to use discretion and
100%.
Problem solve like 100%.
That. A cop shouldn't be a cop till he's 30. I don't know how old you guys are. If you're married, your kids, you want a 21-year-old male who went to college and has no life experience showing up at your door because your neighbors heard you and your wife yelling, sir, I have to come in now and do an investigation. What the hell does that kid know about life? Police training is a joke. My sister got her license in hair, right? Cutting hair, 11 months every day, Monday through Friday. And she got licensed. I went to the academy Monday through Friday for 3 months. I got a certification. I had qualified immunity. Then I went to 3 months of FTO, 2 weeks of shadow, and boom, I'm a cop. 2 weeks into it, or 2 years into it, I got yelled at by a sergeant. Why didn't you test for the sergeant's test? Because I've only been on 2 years. What the hell?
We could talk about we could literally talk about this for hours. And Dom, as you know how this thing goes, I'm running up against a hard break. So before we go, I want you to tell all of our listeners here on PC Radio how they can find you on MoJo 50 Radio.
They can wind up listening every Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern on MoJo 50 Radio. It's the Rants of Izzo. Keep your kids away from the station, please.
Well, at least away from that time slot, all right? Hey, we try to be a little bit kid-friendly over here. We will warn you in advance when Dominick is coming back. And by the way, can we have you back?
I would love to come back. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dominick.
We got to get out. Of your day.
Yeah, you too. We got to get out of here. Richard, with that, your final profound words and thoughts of the day. Don't leave us hanging.
Ladies and gentlemen, for God's sakes, please ensure that you have your dog on a leash.
There you go. Yes, because you never know who might be pulling up, and that's it. That's where we go. I just want to go back to this one more time. I mean, if you want a Biden America, okay, this is what we're looking at.
What will your administration do to help them give them that chance? Thank you.
Move it up here.
Move it up. Move it up.
There used to be a basic bargain in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Workers shared in the wealth their work helped create.
All right. And do you have any other final words, Mr. Biden? How about
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives, when you think about it.
Yeah.
How can I be more profound than him?
One more look at Biden America here. Death to America. Burn the precinct to the ground. Every city, every town. That's where we're going, Richard. Unbelievable. Get out and vote November 3rd, and we will be back tomorrow at this time. Until then, here's what's up to it. Here's what's down to it. Here's to any way you can get to it. Here's to those that don't do it. May they be dragged to it, tied to it, or forced to it. And here's to us who do it, because we're the ones that's used to it. Remember, Richard, to fly low and avoid the radar. One day they're going to come for the car, and when they do, save the radio!
With a domestic population of 350 million and 7.8 billion worldwide, we thank the 12 of you that listen to this garbage.
It's garbage, and I'll tell you why.
The Patriotically Correct Radio Show.
Eat me.